Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA.
Where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing so you can start your day off the AFA way. And in case you have forgotten, Nurse Mark just put his glasses on so he can look you all in the eye
Now
and
I got to take them off now.
remind you. Here you go. You're
Hey,
absolutely upside down. You're absolutely
see?
fucking amazing.
No matter which way you look at it, Sherry, you're absolutely fucking amazing. Upside down, sideways, right ways up. Guess
Right?
what?
We're human.
There are no rules anyway. You want to read your book upside down? You go ahead. Absolutely. If you can do it, God bless you. That's awesome. Morning,
Yes.
Glenn.
You know what? And that reminds me of a funny story for those people that are out there
Someone reading
and
a
have
book upside down, or
no, just about
okay.
doing things in a weird way and not
Yeah.
judging or creating the story. So here's a classic example of
Mhm.
when we've worked with patients, and then we'll jump in. It's just a good story.
Yeah.
So patient that was sick and suffering had a hard time. She was having a hard time just doing stuff around the house,
Of
and her
course.
dishes were piling up and piling up and piling up. And basically, it was the thought was, I can't do the dishes. I'm like, well, why do you have to do the dishes? You got a dishwasher. She goes, but they're not going to get clean unless I clean them first. I said, so put them in the dishwasher 3 times. There's the solution. You
Yeah.
don't have to do everything the way that you were conditioned to do it.
Oh, I love the
Right?
fact that you use that word.
Conditioned?
Yes, because here's the thing, Sherry, and this is all about AFA
It is.
and breaking that mold and getting, just peeling that layer back. 90% or more of what we do is just preconditioned habit. We think that we have all this prefrontal cortex power and we think our way through the day. It's complete bullshit. We go about our days day in and day out, same habits. We might change some things up. Guess what? It's still pulling from the past and using stuff that your marvelous brain has stored. And guess what? It stores every experience you've had. Stuff doesn't go away. It's in here. You may not access it, but it's in there. And all of the work that's been done over the many, many years about the subconscious mind and that being the most powerful portion, the part you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the work that needs to be done is figuring out the stuff that you don't know that you don't know.
There you go. And you know what they often call that? They call that shadow work, right?
Shadow work. It's
And
about accessing the stuff that you don't know that you don't know. It's not even in your awareness. Like
yeah.
I know I'm not a brain surgeon. Like if you have
Yeah.
a problem with your brain, I'm not the guy you want cutting open your head. Although I'll enjoy it because I love surgery, you're not going to have such a great time because I know that I'm not a brain surgeon.
Yeah.
But there are things that I have uncovered through doing, the work that we've done. You've done work, I've done work. It's all about uncovering and having awarenesses about
Right.
things that I did not know that I did not know.
Right.
Morning, Ashley.
Good morning. I love this quote, right? This is
Yeah.
interesting. And helps me to have compassion too for
Mhm.
people. A lot of people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And they don't know that they don't know it. And
They have no
right. And so what do? We peel back. We start the knowingness to get to know yourself. You're going to know the world. Right? You heard that quote, right?
It's true.
Going in every
You
moment.
are the world.
Ooh,
You
Angel, listen
are.
to this. This is an Angel quote. I love this little quote from this morning. I got a couple of them, and then
Okay,
we'll get to your daily love. I don't mean
do
to
it, baby. Come on.
hog the
This is it. We're
spotlight.
rolling. This is Nurse
We're
Mark and the
rolling.
Green Nurse.
Hey, nurse, right? So this Angel quote that I found this
Yep.
morning when I was meditating was, "Every moment you connect with your inner spirit,
Mhm.
your divine love, your AFA badass self, is
Mhm.
like a coin being put into a bank account. And
Yeah.
this bank account is your own self-love."
And
Boom.
that's the key to happiness for everybody. Good morning, Laura.
Good morning.
It
Good
is
morning, Mrs.
all.
Worcester.
Oh, Mrs. Worcester. Yeah, I am a brain surgeon. Well, I have plans, Jamie. I have plans.
You guys are awesome.
Okay. So literally, what was I going to say?
We were
Yeah, no,
talking about we were putting coins in our bank account of
right,
self-love, right?
right.
Connecting with our
Self-love. Thank
indwelling
you.
spirit.
My gosh.
Can
Thank you so much, Sherry, for reminding
yeah,
me about self-love, because that's what the whole book's about, really, is
yeah.
about self-love and how to operate in the world, actually loving yourself, like giving
Here it is.
yourself a break. Yeah.
Look at this. This is a book on how to change your internal operating system.
It's a reboot. It's a hack. We get made into these ways of being. By the way, if you get the concept that everybody walks around with just a way of being, that's a good way to let people off the hook, and especially you. Like when you say I'm sad, well, you're not literally sad. Show me sad somewhere out there in the world. You can show me examples of people being sad, but you
Right.
can't say, "Oh, wait a minute, Sherry, I've got a bottle of A number one sad right here in the bottle. Sad as
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
Right. Or
No,
just,
it's
yeah,
just
or
a
just
way
like,
of being. You're just
right,
feeling sad. You're being
right.
sad, right? It's the
It
same
makes
thing,
sense.
being angry. We judge people on their actions. We judge on what we think is their motivation.
Right.
We don't
Yeah.
know. We never
I have
know what
no
goes on
idea.
inside somebody else's head.
Yeah.
So when we get that it's just ways of being, and that you can change ways of being, and it's any
Yeah.
one of the ways
Yeah.
of being, it lets
Right.
people off the hook. And the biggest one is you.
That's it.
So when I'm in that self-judgment mode and saying, man, I wish I hadn't have said that, or I wish I had done this differently, you got to go back to, hey, that was just a way of being that was momentary. That's over with. I
Yeah.
can
There
go
you
now,
go.
and sometimes there are things that I say or that I do that bother me, and I'm self-aware enough now that I'll go back to the other person and say, hey, you know what? When we were talking yesterday, I said this, this, and this, and I really felt bad about it because I didn't think ahead about how that might make you feel. And almost
Right.
every time the person says, oh shit, I didn't even remember you saying that, but hey, no big
Oh,
deal.
oh,
So it's me. Hey, Carrie
yeah.
Lee. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
got to
me.
tell you
But
too, there's another
self-love, baby. Go ahead.
self-love is huge. Another quick story about bullying. This is a really interesting story. Quick, and then we'll get in. So I was bullied as a kid,
Mhm.
believe it or not, big time bad. It just was horrible. And what ended up happening years and years later, when I was on Facebook, I joined Facebook. I got a message from a woman who said to me, I just friended you. I don't know if you'll accept my friend request. And I don't know if you remember me from grade school, but I used to make fun of you. So I was like, what?
Yeah,
So I go and I look at her profile and I'm like, I have no idea who
right,
that woman is.
right.
It was just, I could have, of course, just
Yep.
store that moment in time, that
Mhm.
bullying moment, but I didn't remember. And just to think of this, she carried that with her.
She carried that
She
as a
carried that
as
for
yeah,
years and
as
years
a
and years.
mark against her, is something that she said, "I failed," right?
Yeah.
Carried that for years and years and years, something that
Yeah.
you didn't even remember,
I didn't
but
remember. No clue.
but bothered her so much that she
Yeah.
carried it and was able to express that and get out of that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so I
Morning,
left her
Beth.
off the hook. I left her off the hook. I basically
Right,
said, you know what? Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate the apology, but in all honesty, I don't remember. Of course,
right.
I'm going to accept your friend request.
Mhm.
Accept,
And look at
right?
that. Now you may have, if you had remembered it, you may have carried it around and put her in a bucket of people that you hate, that are just, that are jerks, and you would have carried that around for 20 years or however long it was, right?
Right.
But you're both free and clear now, because at that moment in time, that little girl had a way of being, and you had a way of being, and that's not who you really are. It's just a way of being. She was being mean and you were being bullied.
Right.
That's not the case now, because you're not being in that way of being, right? And she's,
Exactly.
coming back
Exactly.
around after carrying all that
Mhm.
time, which affected her, by the way, in all areas of her life, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
isn't
And
that
so what is it
magical?
when people what it is magical. So just think about this. She
Mhm.
had to return to love, right? Think about that. We're gonna
She
go
Yeah,
right back, right? She needed to
yeah,
return a return to love, having that ability to actually, after all those years, reach out, say she
right.
was sorry, let it go, return to
All
love.
that time. And we do
Yeah.
that. We do carry around these things. How many people have regrets that they didn't make amends with a family member or some friend that they really loved and that friend passed away and they
Yeah.
didn't get that chance to say that? Morning,
Yeah.
Brian. Morning, Joey. What's up? So,
Welcome to the Green Nurse Daily Dose of AFA. If you're just tuning in, we're
yeah,
talking spiritual principles, self-love. We
self-love, baby.
always bring it into cannabis.
Old hearts,
Always.
yeah, and we're gonna bring it back around to cannabis. All right, Sherry, we're really going
We're
today.
going.
Let's get real quick on this daily love.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, we
All right.
got this.
Daily love for today. I pulled from a Landmark Insights book, Inventing New Futures, because hey, you get to choose right now. What do you want to do in the future?
Right?
Yeah, your choice, not anybody
Your
else's.
choice. Yep.
And the name of this is called a continual choosing. All right, I'll read some real quick parts of this. All right. Ready?
Yep. Yes.
Here we go. Trails are made by the act of walking. Once made, we travel along the grooves that our own repeated action has made for us. The paths we take are well worn because we take them every day. And we take
Mhm.
them in part because being so well worn, they are the paths of least resistance. And because venturing off the beaten path demands more work and even risk.
Mhm.
And so it takes practice, courage, and real work to give up old, unproductive ways of being, choosing higher ground and inventing and sustaining frameworks that pull for possibility. Forwarding the
Mm.
action, it becomes a lifelong practice, a continual choosing.
Yes.
There was a
There
lot
you
more there,
go.
but that's it
That's
in a nutshell. It's a
choice.
continual choosing
Yeah.
to be a different way
Yes. Different way of
because
being. How?
that's just the human default is we're programmed. Goes back to what we started off with, like 90% of what we do is just habit. So that's your way of being. You can practice with courage and real work, give up that old way of being and be a new way.
Yep.
Anybody can do it.
Absolutely. And guess what, everyone?
Here we go.
Cannabis helps. Cannabis opens up these neural pathways in our brain, start
Mhm.
to connect the dots from things that didn't make sense. This has happened to so many people. What's the first thing that cannabis brings them is hope, and
Hope.
then inspiration for growth and healing, right? And
Right.
so we want to educate on all the hugs and nugs of cannabinoid
Woo!
therapy.
Tidbit Tuesday.
Tidbit Tuesday, Terpene Tuesday. And I'll tell you what, I've been looking, we've covered all the big major ones. But today we're going to discuss a terpene that I've never heard of before. And so maybe some of you have heard of it, but you know what? I'm just
Yeah,
as
I'm
new as a
sure
lot of
these
people out
these
there.
smarties, they've heard of this.
They have, okay, ready?
Yeah.
Philandrine. Philandrine.
You
So
accusing me of philandering? Oh, no, that's philandering, I'm sorry. Yeah, I always
right, it's
yeah.
P
Well,
H E
let's
L
dive into
L
this and
A
see if
N
it
D
has
R
any
E N E.
similarities, won't we?
Exactly. But first, Mark, let's
Mhm.
discuss what a terpene is for those new
Oh,
people that are out.
okay, folks. Terpenes, when we're talking about on Tidbit Tuesday, Terpene Tuesday, and a lot of the days we're talking chemistry here. We're talking, biochemistry, plant chemistry. And so a terpene is an organic compound that produces specific smells and tastes. And they're found in cannabis and a lot of other plants, essential oils, trees, and foods. We eat a lot of terpenes. And
Yeah,
it's kind of funny, but the things that we eat, perhaps they were chosen by our bodies because it contains terpenes, right? That
right.
that's a possibility, So
Absolutely.
in cannabis, terpenes help to ward off attacks from animals, insects, and fungus as the plant is growing. And
Yes.
when a cannabis plant goes through the curation process, and Sherry, let's do a whole show about that one day
The
because I think
curation
that it has so much to do with what comes from the plant is
plant.
how
Yeah.
cultivated and cured, right?
Cured. Yes.
So anyway, back to terpenes. You know, the terpenes oxidize. That's a physical change in the
Chemical
chemistry,
reaction.
right? It's a
Yeah.
chemical reaction, oxidation. And so during the curation process, terpenes oxidize and they become terpenoids. So there you
Yes.
go.
There you
Now,
go.
Sherry, this is, if there's, you know, nothing else that anybody hears today. Good morning, Michelle. Let's
Good
talk
morning,
about
Michelle.
this really quick.
Sure.
Terpenes in cannabinoids and the other chemical components that we really even haven't identified in the cannabis plant,
Yeah.
many of them, all of those combine together to create what is called as the entourage effect. And
Yes.
it is legitimately agreed upon in the scientific community that there is an entourage effect. And what
Yep.
is that, Sherry?
Well, basically, you know, the combination utilizing cannabinoids,
Mhm,
terpenes together, plus think about the rest of the plant, essential
mhm,
fatty acids,
mhm,
bioflavonoids, and
mhm.
cannaflavins. So all together, they produce a more potent medicinal effect
Yep.
rather than using the isolated compounds alone. So another way of saying that is the whole of the plant is
Mhm.
greater than its individual parts. Boom.
Absolutely. And it's studied quite frequently. And we
Mhm.
know that it happens. We all agree that it happens. We still don't know how it happens. Like the
Right.
chemical interactions with the endocannabinoid system and the multiple receptors that are within this whole, you know, umbrella of a neurotransmitting system. We still don't know. We meaning the scientific community, the research scientists, we still don't know how it works, and we continue to look to see, but
Yeah.
it's okay. We don't need to necessarily know
Uh,
how it works.
Listen,
Knowing
it
that
works.
it does work is the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here
It's
we
like
are.
the intelligence of the plant. It goes where it needs to go, does what it needs to do to bring
Yes.
homeostasis and balance. It's so
Right.
intelligent. And
Yes.
so when we talk about terpenes, there's a lot of them, but there's really 8 primary ones. And
Mhm.
we've covered these, and as we keep going back to cannakeys, we're going to cover some more as studies come out. But the
Yep.
8 primary terpenes include limonene, pinene,
Mhm.
humulene,
Mhm.
ocimene, myrcene, linalool,
Yeah.
caryophyllene, and terpenoline. We've covered all of those, and there's a lot of
Right.
other ones that we've actually covered as well.
Yeah, and they
And
all
so
have different effects. They all have
right,
different little components, right? Like beta
yep,
caryophyllene is almost considered a
a
cannabinoid,
cannabinoid,
right?
right?
Yeah,
Because
and
it
yet it
does,
falls into the terpene category.
yeah,
Mhm,
absolutely. Yeah, and so basically, so these other secondary terpenes are very less prevalent in cannabis, but like we
mhm,
said before, there's a ton of terpenes and other components,
right.
vegetables, fruits, food, essential oils, plants, and trees.
Mhm,
So the one that we're going to talk about today is
yes.
philandrine. So it's
Yep.
one of those secondary uncommon terpenes that has not received a lot of attention.
No, simply because, God, there's just not enough research, there's not enough time, not enough, well, there's always enough money, but you know,
Yeah,
it's like I think we talked about this. It's prioritization, right? There are
right,
so many positive effects that the cannabis plant has that we need
right,
to really kind of like prioritize and say, well, let's look at this one first. You know,
right,
let's finally understand what CBG and CBD and THC are doing, even though we've
right,
studied them for, you know, a long time.
right.
We still don't
Yeah,
know really. So we
still
need it's
evolving.
focus, right? So here we have this lovely terpene that hasn't received any attention.
Right.
Yeah.
But we did find some details on it.
Uh-huh.
And so basically, philandrine
Mhm.
represents a pair of organic compounds. So there's two of them. You've heard of us
Mhm.
talk about pinene, there's alpha pinene. Well, very similar. So there's alpha philandrine and beta philandrine. And
Mhm.
basically, they're most commonly derived from several of the eucalyptus plant species, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Found in small amounts in cannabis. What about the smell, Mark? What does it smell like?
Oh, minty, woody, and mildly citrusy. And it's
Yeah,
used in cosmetics as well since it's absorbed
absolutely.
easily. and it's used in holistic Eastern medicine. It's been used for a long time for its antifungal and antibacterial properties. See, we keep coming back to antifungal, antibacterial.
Yeah,
Part of, the positive aspects that a cannabis plant has
exactly.
related to terpenes and the other chemicals found within it.
Yep.
And I love that it's found in eucalyptus, which, to me means, hey, it's probably good with respiratory issues. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I
So it's
agree.
maybe a little bronchodilation. I don't know, but let's dig
Let's
in a little deeper,
explore.
Sherry.
Exactly.
All
So
right.
this other terpene, so it's found in small amounts in cannabis,
Mhm.
primarily in eucalyptus, but also exists in the essential oils of a variety of other plants,
Yep.
including mint, dill, black pepper, cinnamon, parsley,
Mhm.
pine,
Yeah.
lavender, water fennel, and ginger grass. So we've talked about a lot
Yeah.
of these other, that are found, these other terpenes that are also found in these exact plants and other essential oils. And so this is one of them.
Yeah.
Philandrine, small.
Yeah. Philandrine. So a 2017 study looking at the varieties that had philandrine, they tested 233 samples from 30 different cultivars from a California dispensary via gas chromatography, which is a machine that they use to test for different chemical constituents within a sample. It doesn't
Right,
necessarily have to be a plant sample. It's whatever sample. It's the machinery that they use to actually
right.
measure these things. And so alpha philandrine was detected in the cannabis strains Trainwreck and Jack Herer.
Nope. And I've used both of those and they're both very, very good. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So here's the other thing too. So in this study, what they looked at, so philandrine was classified as a secondary characteristic in strains containing high amounts
Yeah.
of terpinolene. And
Yeah.
we've covered terpinolene in one of our other
Of
Terpene
course we did. You
Tuesdays.
know what, Sherry? We did it brilliantly because you're absolutely amazing, and so am I, and so is everybody here.
Here.
Morning, Maria. Yeah, you're all absolutely fucking amazing. I'm sorry. You just are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially,
Start your day
joining
out with
us.
that.
Start your day off with hugs and nugs from Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Daily
Mm.
Dose.
Now, we had another later model of the study. The strains Ace
Hmm.
of Spades and Sage were also found to have trace amounts of alpha and beta philandrine.
Yeah, wow. And
Yeah.
so here's the other thing that I learned through the exploration of
Mhm.
cannabis was that it has a very unique profile. So right
Mhm.
early in the 1900s, alpha and beta philandrine were often misidentified as limonene and pinene. So you all can think, so just keep thinking about the interconnectedness, how closely related things are, how these compounds change just a little bit. So
Mhm.
this terpene, alpha and beta philandrine, were
Mhm.
misidentified as limonene and pinene, right? And so basically, what they did only after these compounds were tested in eucalyptus oil they discovered that philandrine is actually two distinct isomeric compounds instead of one.
I love it
So,
when you talk dirty to me like that. Oh my God, I love chemistry.
such a
Yes, 2
nerd.
distinct isomeric compounds.
I
Yeah.
know, isomeric. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so the compound's easily absorbable, so that's why it's in a lot of cosmetics.
yeah, yeah.
Yep. What are the medical benefits of philandrine, Sherry?
Well, the medical benefits of philandrine, the
Mhm.
reported benefits are antifungal,
Yeah,
antibacterial,
yeah.
antidepressant, and an
Oh,
analgesic, right?
who doesn't want any of those things disappearing from their lives?
Exactly.
Get rid of
Exactly.
pain and depression.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What
And it was
else?
also believed, Mark, to have other potential anti-cancer effects. And these were
Yep,
in vitro studies,
yep.
as well as anti-inflammatory benefits that were done in rodent studies.
Right.
So, we talk about research, and we
Mhm.
always have to make sure that we disclose that this early research doesn't tell us about a lot about philandrine's effects in humans,
Right.
but and particularly at the trace levels in which it's found in cannabis. So we have to take all of
Exactly.
this information with a grain of salt.
We
You know,
do. We do.
yeah,
But guess
yeah,
what? I would always argue with someone that anecdotal evidence is evidence nonetheless. I mean,
It's
in the healthcare
mhm,
space, we're all about evidence-based medicine, and that requires rigorous scientific studies. Even the most rigorous and best scientific studies are all just better guesses.
there you
None of
go.
them are full-on truth of what is happening. They're
Yeah.
just not. So we do the best we can. But when someone comes to you and says, "Hey, you know what? I use Jack Herer and it works perfectly for me in relieving my pain and my depression." Well, I think that's pretty good, gosh darn scientific evidence that it works for that person. And,
Exactly.
we talk about these terpenes, right? And secondary terpenes that are higher in some varieties than others. It goes to the point that it's going to take a while for you to find the particular variety of cannabis that will work for you. Sherry
Yeah.
took you 2 years to nail down exactly what
2
works for
years.
you. It takes time. This is not Western medicine. This is plant medicine, and it's different. And you know what? Put in your time and
Learn.
you will find what works for you,
That's right.
because it's about what's in it. It's
Yes.
about these different chemical components, and philandrine is just one of them.
Philanderer.
Yeah,
Mark's a philanderer.
I am. I'm a philandriner. Yeah,
A
absolutely.
philandriner.
Love my philandrine.
Exactly. So this was Terpene Tuesday. We hope you all received your hug and your nug of information.
Yeah.
And Mark, we've got a lot of great things that are going on at the Green Nurse.
Oh, Sherry, there's just so much going on. Oh,
Hmm.
and it's all great stuff.
Good
It
stuff.
really is. We had our first mastermind session last night. It was amazing. I'm excited about that whole thing. I mean, you announced it, you've done some stuff, folks. We're doing a mastermind group meeting twice a month for people who want to join. And I talked about it last night in the initial kickoff meeting. Back this concept of being in a mastermind group isn't new. Like, if you're an entrepreneur, you have read Think and Grow Rich. That book, written by a guy named Napoleon Hill, that was published in the early 1930s, and like the Depression in the United States, is absolutely considered one of the seminal books that you read if you're in business and an entrepreneur. And you know what it's about? Well, the title says it. Think and Grow Rich. Think is the key. Okay? It's like it's one of those books that is about what you think is what you get. And one of the 12 or 13 things that you can do to have it manifest in your life is be a part of a mastermind group. And it was
Right.
really, I mean, Napoleon Hill said it himself. He said, listen, when you have two or more people in a group that are
Mm,
coming together in this
super.
mastermind with an intention
Yeah.
of performing this or achieving this goal, it's like a third mind enters the
Yes.
room that everybody that is, far more knowledgeable than just the single individual. So that's why
Absolutely.
we do the mastermind thing. And I'll tell you, being in business for 30 plus years and having great success, absolutely, it was about being a part of mastermind groups through that whole time.
Yeah. And the
Mhm.
part that I like about it too is that, the mastermind group is both for personal and professional development for people
Yeah.
that want to learn about cannabis, cannabinoid therapeutics,
Yep.
and how to incorporate it into their coaching practice, their
Mhm.
medical practice, their nursing practice, or any health and wellness activity. So we're educating on how to bring this education into what you're already doing, which
Yeah.
is really, really fun. And we're
Yep.
talking from
Another one of the
experience.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah, another one of the tools. So hugs and nugs for everyone
Yeah.
out there. Mastermind group. Check it out on our website,
Yeah. Brian Campbell says,
www.thegreennurse.com.
cannabis saved his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad it did, because you're here.
Yes, you are. And then
Yeah.
for patients, so if you're new out there, you new to cannabis, or if someone you love is suffering from pain, interested in using cannabis as a health and wellness tool, or interested in having a safe first time adult use experience, learning about
Mhm.
how this plant interacts with your body, contact us at the Green Nurse. We'd be
Yeah.
more than happy to educate and empower you all.
Yeah.
Cheers.
You
What
know,
else we got going on?
Sherry, let's do an event down on the farm in May. Let's do that. Let's just toss that out there. Guys, let's toss that out in the space. Let's have a green nurse event down on the farm. And yeah, if you haven't been to the farm, whoo,
You
it's
got
a
to go to the
beautiful, it's a
farm. It is.
magical place. You got to
Oh,
come down. So let's start working on that. Let's see if we can make that happen.
we are going to manifest that at our 10 a.m.
Yeah.
meeting. At our 10 a.m. meeting.
Yeah. All right. So everybody, AFA
Everyone.
Day. Today
Yes.
is the day that you can start your transformation. Remember, it takes practice, courage, and real work to give up old ways of being. You can choose a new way of being right now. AFA, baby. Sherry, what's it all about?
Oh, Mark, every day I'm going to tell everyone out there, just like you tell them that they're AFA, it is truly about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Love you all. See you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Have that AFA day.